Hello, all benders and non-benders, and welcome back to Avatar Generations. And today, we're going to talk about something interesting today. Um, get ready for a little jump scare here in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, this is Haru in Arena at the moment. Yeah, we're a horror channel now because that is frightening. That is Earth Kingdom 5-star Haru in Arena. How is this possible, you might ask? Well, let's take a look at the character and find out, is he overpowered? Or is there a little bit more going on here that is quite literally breaking Arena at the moment? So let's get into this here. Let's take a look at his basic rock shots. First, I'm going to say this probably has one of the cooler animations in the game. Deals 2 hits of empowered damage to one enemy, gain a random offensive buff for 1 turn each attack. So first of all, empowered damage increases the damage dealt by 10% per buff on self during the attack, up to 4 stacks. And then that random buff can be like, attack up, crit damage up, crit rate up, things like that. Starts out at 1 turn and can go up to 2 turns if you do manage to get up to level 3. So very cool basic there. And then his advanced here, Palm of the Earth, deals force damage to one enemy, ignoring resistance. So basically, force damage removes 2 buffs from the target. That will just ignore resistance, that will always happen. Increase turn bar of all allies by 10% and grant them increased attack for 1 turn. Gain an extra turn when attacking targets that are above 25% HP. Now, if I'm noticing this correctly, I think you only get that extra turn if the enemy has 25% HP at the end of the turn. So if Palm of the Earth gets them below that point, like you get them down to like 1 HP or something, you don't get that extra turn from what I've noticed. That observation may be incorrect, but I believe that is the case. And then next here, we do have his passive. Decrease focus generation of the enemy team by 5% and increase focus generation of all allies by 5% when they attack. Basic skill becomes full force and increase turn bar by 50% when the caster's HP falls below 50% HP for the first time in battle. Just to note, first of all, with this concentration passive, that's not a death save, so he can still be killed from 100% HP if you do land a good hit on him. But you'll notice here, he gets full force when he goes under 50% HP. Let's take a look at that here. The basic full force deals empowered damage to all enemies. Empowered damage is the same thing as before, increases damage based on his buffs. Decrease turn bar of all enemies by 10% and increase turn bar of rebel faction allies by 20%. This attack cannot be countered. So it basically turns into a powerful AoE with some pretty noteworthy turn bar support if you're running a rebel team. Very much meant to play with that rebel faction. So that's what we have here as far as his moves go. So let's take a look at his skill mastery. This is where things get interesting. Mastery level 2. Gain a random defensive buff for 1 turn whenever the caster is healed. Put a pin in that one just for a second, we'll come back to that. Mastery level 3, deal additional defense ignoring damage to each enemy when the caster is part of a combo attack while full force skill is active. So basically, when another ally uses Haru in a combo, his combo hits kind of become an AoE, which is pretty cool actually. And then Mastery level 4, additionally increase damage dealt by 10% for each buff on the caster at the start of their turn for 1 turn. Almost kind of double dips on that empowered damage, because this will increase your damage based on buffs, and now this can increase your damage based on buffs as well. Now then, we're going to go a little off the rails here because there's an interesting conversation to be had about Haru and specifically his relic. I try not to talk too much about the signature 5-star relics this early in the game, but you'll notice here, gain a random defensive buff for 1 turn whenever the caster is healed. If we go over here, his signature relic is Imbalance of Power. Heal for 25% of damage taken, so first of all, a really noteworthy Statue of Kyoshi effect, and then transform each buff on the caster at the start of their turn into a random 25% stat increase for 3 turns. That's a tier 1. Obviously, that 25% will go up if you do get more copies. Now, when I first saw this, I did not think it was anything too crazy, because it requires not only Earth Kingdom citizens, not even Earthbenders, Earth Kingdom, which does limit it a little bit, but also mind characters. Little did I know, that wasn't a downside. That was the only thing holding this relic back. This relic is really, really strong. Not only giving you that healing, but also just cleansing any debuffs on you every single turn. I mean, you cannot be held down by debuffs, period. But the biggie here is that healing. 25% of damage taken. That combines with this in a nasty way. That's how Haru is getting all those buffs. Invincibility, skill nullifier, I believe evade is in there, allowing the opponent to only land weak hits. It's rough. There is also a bug at the moment that they have mentioned, where this is actually sticking around for 2 turns as opposed to 1 turn. And 2 turns of invincibility, that's a lot of invincibility. That's a lot of invincibility. So, he's a little busted at the moment, like literally broken. And it is dominating Arena in every definition of the word. But that's just kind of something I wanted to bring up here. It's a question of Haru himself is like an A tier character. Haru right now with his relic is like triple S tier character. But it's the question of do you rate the character with the relic or without, because not everybody's going to have the relic. So it's a real situation there. But now that I've kind of gotten that out of my system, let's move on to how you actually want to build your Haru. There's kind of 2 ways you can do this, actually, kind of depending on how you're playing it. Of course, if you want to deal damage, kind of his basic thing is attack. Attack will never steer you wrong. You put on attack, maybe a little bit of speed if you're worried about that, and go to town. However, you could also go bulky Haru, especially if you're using his Imbalance of Power relic. You could put on HP and maybe sprinkle in a little bit of defense there. If you really want to go bulky, you really want to focus on HP, and make it so that he very rarely, if ever, dies. I mean, you can really go for just maximum bulk and win the battle of attrition. You put a bulky Haru in Arena, your defense is going to hold up. Your defense is going to hold up with very little difficulty, and I have seen it before where some people will just go in with the HP, sprinkle in a little bit of defense or maybe attack, and that works just fine, because quite frankly, it doesn't matter if he's not doing as much damage. If he just straight up never dies, he'll get there. He will get there. Of course, we have quite a few support options here. Platypus Bear is never bad. Badger Mole, of course, and Goat Gorilla if you're lucky enough to get some of those 5 stars. But frankly, your best 4-star option is just going to be Platypus Bear, because it is just pretty readily available. You can get them decently often when you summon, and we have had Platypus Bear free to play before, so that's probably going to be your best option. And then talking about the relics, let's move past Imbalance of Power. We know that Imbalance of Power is cracked at the moment, like literally breaking the game. Let's move past that. We have quite a few options here, both in the 5-star and 4-star variety. We're going to focus specifically on the 4-star stuff. First of all, we did get this brand new relic as an event relic, Haru's Box, usable by Earthbenders and Rebel characters. This will gain 8 focus whenever the caster receives a crushing hit, and 100% chance to gain evasion for 2 turns when you receive a critical hit. Evasion increases your chance of receiving a weak hit. So this is very much kind of a defensive relic. If he receives that crushing hit, you're more likely to be able to do combos early on, and then if you receive that critical hit, you can get that evasion, making it so that you're not taking as many powerful hits. Kind of a neat little thing there. Of course, we do have items. I don't think Origami Flower really works for him because he really doesn't have a positive stance or state. Just kind of something to keep in mind there. We do actually have a free-to-play relic in the form of the memorial statues. Now, keep in mind, this one you get at the Hegemon's Folly, I believe it's called, where it's the timed node in the very center, kind of top center, where you do have a chance to get this relic. What this does is it permanently increases damage dealt by 10% at the start of the caster's turn. This can happen up to 4 times. And then at maximum stacks, permanently increase damage taken by 20%. So basically, for the next 4 turns, he ramps up in damage. And then when you hit those 4 turns, he will take a little bit of damage as well. But for those 4 turns, you're basically getting a damage buff for free. Not bad at all. So that's kind of some options we have there. I want to make sure I'm just not missing anything here. Yeah, of course, Games of War, very free-to-play friendly and absolutely a good option because he does get buffs pretty often. I'm not really going to bring up too many other 5 stars because those are more of a premium option, but Games of War is currently available in the support, or excuse me, the summon shop right now, so you can technically get those free to play with the caveat that you do need the duplicate 5-star coins. So just something to keep in mind there. Did want to bring it up. This is very much good old reliable. So that is what we have for Haru. A very interesting conversation about this character because between him and what I'm dubbing the Super Flameo Bros, Arena's a bit of an interesting situation right now. It's a little broken. It's a little busted. But we should be getting some fixes pretty soon, hopefully. Also, before we do go here, just to give a little bit of a news thing here, we do currently have the Rise of Kyoshi banner and the Lost Avatar banner going at this moment. Of course, Rise of Kyoshi has Kyoshi, Rangi, and the Inheritance Relic. Kyoshi, of course, being fantastic, and Rangi doing some pretty good damage when well built. And then, of course, we do have Yoon here. Would like to note, he is an Earth Kingdom mind character, so he could use that Unbalanced Power Relic as well, and of course the exceptionally popular tributes to the Avatar Relic. So just something to keep in mind there. If you've been waiting for Kyoshi, maybe you missed out on her the first time around, there's your chance, there's your opportunity. But that is all we have for today. Let me know down in the comments below what your Haru experience has been. Has it been nightmarish, or have you been the one unleashing the nightmare on others? Let me know, I want to hear about it. If you haven't already, like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we shall see you next time. Have a good one.